Today, in Part 1 of Section P of Vigyan Bhairav Grant, we will discuss in detail the Shiva-Shakti dialogue for the penetration of the 12 chakras by the 12 alphabetical notes, and an in-depth analysis of the verses on the penetration of the 12 chakras by the 12 alphabetical notes.
I want you to really just take a moment and breathe in that profound intention. We're not merely analyzing an old text today. We are literally entering into a sacred transmission. This is a deeply ancient, incredibly intimate dialogue, where the very mechanics of the universe are being revealed directly to Mother Shakti. We're being invited to witness the highest esoteric science of consciousness, completely unvarnished, spoken straight from the source of all knowing. And, this transmission, it's meant not just to be heard with your ears. It is meant to be experienced in the absolute deepest stillness of your own being.
So to even begin to understand this, I want you to visualize the subtle body. We're not talking about your physical flesh and bone here. We're talking about the luminous, energetic architecture of your own existence. This is the actual sacred space for spiritual awakening. Think of the human vessel as being strung with these vital energy centers, what we call chakras, ascending all the way from the base of your spine up to the crown of your head and even beyond. Now, to realize your true infinite cosmic nature, these dormant centers have to be systematically awakened. They have to be pierced. But here's the thing. This isn't achieved through some kind of blunt physical force. Not at all. It is achieved through an incredibly precise, delicate science of sound, of breath, and of pure, refined vibration.
Let's ground this in the original Sanskrit text of Karaka 30. Listen very closely to the resonance of these ancient phonetic keys. Samyak dwadashakshara Vedita muktwa muktwa. This ancient verse is laying out the exact specific progression of sounds known as the Akarati Dwada Shwaras. These are the 12 sequential vowels, and they all originate from the primordial sound A. Now you have to understand, these are absolutely not mere letters of an alphabet like we use in everyday speech. They are living, vibrating forces. When they are vocalized internally, with immense, unwavering meditative focus, every single syllable becomes a precise instrument. It's literally like a key forged out of pure energy, and it's used to unlock the very gates of consciousness itself.
If we look at the simple English translation, the core essence of this transmission becomes incredibly clear. It reveals the esoteric process of using these 12 phonetic vowels to systematically penetrate the energy centers inside your body. It's a journey. You are essentially tracing sound from its grossest, most audible, physical manifestation, all the way down into its absolute most silent, subtlest energetic form. Remember, Mother Shakti is asking how the supreme, undifferentiated state is attained. And Shiva's answer? It's given through this exact phonetic map. It's the roadmap that takes you from the dense, heavy illusion of the physical world, all the way back up to the expansive, unmanifested supreme reality.
To truly comprehend the overwhelming depth of this text, a text whose esoteric meanings have been carefully preserved and interpreted by the great masters of Kashmir Shaivism up through the 12th century and beyond, we have to look at the specific words Shiva uses in this divine dialogue. Let's start with samyag. Samyag means completely, properly, and fully integrated. Think about how our minds usually operate, right? The mind is so accustomed to wandering. It attaches itself to every passing thought, every external sound. But this specific practice, it demands absolute, unwavering stillness. You absolutely cannot just chant these 12 vowels mechanically like a robot. It won't work. Your awareness has to be flawlessly, totally fused with the vibration of the sound itself. That is how you anchor the wandering mind into a state of pure, unwavering presence.
And that brings us to the next profound concept, Dwadashakshara Beditam, which literally translates to being pierced by the 12 letters or phonetic notes. I want you to imagine physical sound not just as scattered noise in a room, but as a deeply concentrated force. As you chant these specific 12 vowels, the sound actually begins to transform. It gets refined. It turns into an incredibly subtle, sharp, piercing vibration. It's almost like a laser beam of pure consciousness. And this highly concentrated energy, it literally threads the needle through every single one of your 12 subtle centers. It systematically illuminates and dissolves the energetic blockages within them, one by one by one.
But doing this requires profound discipline, which is captured in the phrase muktva muktva. This means letting go, step by step, stage by stage. This is absolutely crucial. You literally cannot ascend to the next chakra if you are clinging to the vibration or the feeling or some beautiful phenomenon you experienced in the previous one. There has to be a continuous, deeply deliberate process of detachment.
You experience the resonance of the vowel, you honor the revelation it brings, and then you just organically release it. You have to willingly leave behind what you've just mastered if you want to ascend to the higher, subtler stage. It's a continuous shedding.
And this dynamic ascent, this continuous shedding, creates what is known as a macro-micro situation. Through this dialogue, Shiva is revealing how the gross, physical breath and the actual audible vocalization of the vowel in your throat gradually dissolve into the ether. The macro-physical sound physically shrinks. It refines itself into a micro, unmanifested energetic resonance. You are quite literally riding the sound wave backward. You're following the echo from the loud, heavy physical world, deep, deep down into the silent void of cosmic creation, the exact place from which all sound is originally born.
So what happens then? Where does that receding wave ultimately take you? It takes you to, finally, Shiva. This is the breathtaking culmination of the entire practice. By the time you reach that 12th and final energetic stage, the individual illusion completely shatters. At this point, the practitioner no longer exists as a separate entity enclosed inside a physical body, chanting a vowel. They have entirely merged with absolute reality. The meditator and the meditation itself become one. It is an infinite, supreme, non-dual cosmic consciousness.
Let's actually walk through this profound ascent together. Ascend now through these 12 stages. Feel the deliberate uncoiling of your own vital force. We begin with the grossest vowel, akar. This vibrates deeply at the navel, which is the center of physical fire. And remember, we let go. We release it and move up to ukar, which resonates at the heart, the seat of emotion. Letting go again, we ascend to makar, vibrating at the face and the mouth. Now the sound begins to become exponentially subtler. We reach bindu, which is that concentrated point of focused light right between the eyebrows. From there we refine even further into ardhachandra, feeling the half-moon resonance at the forehead, and then naradhani, the obstruction-piercing vibration just above it. At this point, the physical sound is almost entirely extinguished. It turns into nada, which is pure, internal sound echoing quietly in the head, and then nidanta, the absolute end of sound at the crown, the brahmarandra. Finally, we pierce entirely out of the physical and into the cosmic realms. We experience Shakti, pervading the skin itself, Vyapavini expanding at the root of the tuft on the head, Samana achieving perfect, total equilibrium at the tuft, and finally, the ultimate leap. We step into the transcendent Unmana, the supreme state that exists entirely, utterly beyond the mind.
It's a lot to take in, isn't it? To truly grasp the overwhelming depth of this transmission from Shiva to Shakti, we have to look at it through 5 distinct multi-dimensional lenses. We need to illuminate this practice through its spiritual, religious, tantric, philosophical, and practical significance. Let's break those down.
First, let's look at the spiritual significance. At its very core, what we just walked through is a perfectly mapped internal ascent. It brilliantly highlights the journey of the soul. It shows the soul rising from worldly, gross attachments, all those fears, those desires, those egoic bindings that are represented by the heavier, denser vibrations in the lower body, and moving directly toward divine liberation. It proves to us that the path to the infinite isn't about looking outward into the sky. It is completely inward and upward, achieved through the systematic refinement and liberation of your very own inner energy.
Moving over to the religious significance, we begin to recognize this highly specific phonetic practice as a supreme act of devotion. This isn't just an exercise. This is an esoteric offering of the absolute highest order. With every single vowel you refine, with every breath you elevate, you are offering the most intimate part of yourself, your own life force and your own voice, back to the divine source that created them. It is the ultimate form of worship. And you're performing it not with external material offerings, but with the blossoming flowers of your own inner chakras.
Then we have the tantric significance. In its tantric dimension, this is the supreme science of expanding consciousness through energy. Tantra inherently recognizes that the physical and the spiritual are deeply interwoven. They aren't separate. Here, we see this intense, laser-like focus on the hidden mechanics of resonance. You are literally using vital energy, prana, and phonetic sound as a physical tool to energetically pierce the blockages in your subtle nervous system. You are mastering the unseen cosmic forces of the universe entirely within the laboratory of your own body. From a philosophical perspective, this practice is quite literally a masterpiece of logic. It systematically, step by step, dismantles the illusion of a separate, isolated self. I mean, think about it. As you move from the loud, physical, audible sound of ah, all the way up to the complete, deafening silence of unmana, where does the sound actually go? And more importantly, where does the chanter go? This specific progression, logically, and more importantly experientially, forces the mind to realize its own emptiness. It inevitably arrives at the ultimate truth of non-duality, the realization that there is, and there always has been, only one single consciousness.
And finally, the practical significance. Ultimately, you see, the Vigyan Bhairav is not just some piece of abstract philosophy to be debated. It is an absolute, deeply practical manual for spiritual evolution. It doesn't just sit there and state that a supreme cosmic consciousness exists somewhere out there. It gives you the exact 12 steps, it gives you the exact phonetic vowels, and the precise physical locations to focus your awareness in order to actually attain it. It is a precise, highly actionable roadmap for realizing your ultimate, transcendent human potential.
As it's recorded, right there on page 34 of the sacred text, we witness the beautiful mapping of this final, breathtaking leap. After moving so meticulously through all these ascending stages of sound, the chanting, the humming, the subtle vibration, the deep inner resonance, you finally arrive at the precipice. This is the unmana state. Manas in Sanskrit is the mind, and unmana is the state of no mind. It is the pure consciousness that exists completely beyond the mechanism of thought. It is the absolute 0 point. It's the place where all phonetic sound, all vibration, and all individual identity finally and utterly ceases, leaving absolutely nothing but the eternal void.
As you sit and contemplate this ancient, divine transmission, realize that the journey of these 12 vowels is actually your own journey. It is the profound transition from the noisy, fragmented physical world into an absolute supernatural peace. I want to invite you to just sit in this deep, meditative silence right now. When the mind is completely dissolved, and only cosmic consciousness remains, who is the one that chants when the chanter becomes the universe?